The emergency assistance payment notification showed up in my banking app at 0347 hours, but I was supposed to be the only one who could access those funds. I'm First Sergeant Grady Winscott, 32 years old, United States Army, currently stationed at Fort Drum, New York on my third rotation. Been overseas for 8 months now. The notification glowed on my iPhone screen in the darkness of my bunk. Emergency Military Family Life Assistance Program disbursement, $4,200. Approved and processed. I sat up, checked the timestamp again. The request had been submitted 6 hours ago while I was running night operations. Someone claiming to be my spouse had filed for emergency assistance due to a family medical crisis back home. Problem was, I wasn't married. I opened the full transaction details. The application showed my social security number, my military ID, my status. Everything correct. But the dependent information listed a spouse named Rebecca Winscott with an address in Syracuse I'd never seen before. The emergency contact phone number wasn't mine. My stepmother Diane had helped me set up my military benefits when I first enlisted. She knew my paperwork inside and out. Had copies of everything for safekeeping, she said. Smart woman. Worked in insurance for 20 years before she married my father. I scrolled through my recent account activity. 3 smaller transactions over the past 2 months. All emergency assistance payments. All approved for the same fake spouse at the same fake address. Total, $11,800. The base was quiet except for the distant hum of generators. I checked my credit monitoring app. New address added to my profile 4 months ago. New phone number registered to my account. Changes I never made. Someone had been very busy while I was deployed. Someone who knew exactly which documents they needed and how to get them. Someone who understood military assistance programs better than most soldiers did. I screenshot everything and started a secure folder on my phone. Then, I opened my contacts and found Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen, my buddy in the finance office back at Drum. If anyone could help me trace this digital paper trail, it was him. But first, I needed to figure out how deep this went. And whether the person stealing from military assistance programs was the same person who'd raised me after my mother died. The notification sound chimed again. Another emergency payment request had just been submitted. The emergency payment request was for $2,400. Same fake spouse. Same Syracuse address. But this time, the medical emergency was listed as urgent surgery complications. I called Marcus Chen at 0630 his time. He picked up on the second ring. Chen here. Marcus, it's Grady. I need a favor. Off the books. What's going on? Someone's been filing fraudulent emergency assistance claims using my information. I need to know how they're getting approved so fast. Marcus was quiet for 10 seconds. Send me the transaction numbers. I'll dig around. I forwarded the screenshots. The applications show a spouse I don't have living at an address I've never seen. Jesus, how long has this been going on? At least 4 months. Maybe longer. I'll call you back in an hour. I spent that hour going through every financial app on my phone. My bank account showed the emergency payments as deposits, then immediate transfers to an external account. The routing number belonged to a credit union in Syracuse. Same city as the fake address. Marcus called back at 0745. Your stepmother submitted all the paperwork, he said. She's listed as your emergency contact and power of attorney for financial matters. My stomach dropped. Since when? The POA was filed 18 months ago. Right after your orders came through. She had all the right documents. Military ID copies, birth certificate, social security card. Everything looked legitimate. I remembered that week before. Diane had insisted on handling my paperwork while I focused on pre-training. Said she wanted to make sure everything was set up correctly while I was overseas. I'd been grateful for the help. There's more, Marcus continued. She's been calling our office monthly to check on your benefit status, always very professional. Asks about emergency assistance availability, dependent coverage options. The staff thinks she's just a concerned stepmother looking out for her deployed son. How many total claims? 7 over the past 6 months. Total payout, $18,200. I did the math. Diane had been stealing military assistance funds meant for actual emergencies. Funds that could have helped soldiers with real family crises. Marcus, I need documentation of everything. Can you pull the full file? Already on it. But Grady, this is federal fraud. You need to report this to CID. Not yet. I need to understand the full scope first. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and started mapping the timeline. Diane had filed the power of attorney 2 weeks before She'd waited 4 months before submitting the first fraudulent claim. Smart. Let the routine settle in before starting the theft. I called the Syracuse Credit Union using the routing number from my transfers. First Community Credit Union, how can I help you? I need to verify account information for fraud investigation purposes. I'm calling about transfers from military assistance programs. I'll transfer you to our fraud department. The fraud specialist, Janet Morrison, was helpful once I explained the situation and provided my military ID number. The account was opened 6 months ago, she said. Joint account holders are Rebecca Winscott and Diane Kellerman. The address matches what you described. Diane had used her maiden name, Kellerman, for the account. Rebecca Winscott was completely fictional. But the joint account meant Diane had full access to the stolen funds. What's the current balance? I can't provide specific amounts, but I can tell you there have been regular deposits followed by immediate cash withdrawals. The account is essentially being used as a pass-through. I thanked Janet and hung up. Diane wasn't just stealing the money. She was laundering it through a fake account, then converting it to cash to avoid digital traces. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hope you're staying safe over there, honey. Dad and I are thinking about you. The message came from the same phone number listed on the emergency assistance applications. Diane was texting me from the phone she'd registered as my fake spouse's contact number. I screenshot the message and added it to my folder. Then I called my father. Hey, son. How's the going? Fine, Dad. Is Diane there? She's at work. Insurance office is swamped this week. Why? Just wanted to say hi. When does she usually get home? Around 6. She's been working late a lot lately. Says they're processing a lot of claims. I bet they were. Dad, has Diane mentioned anything about helping me with military paperwork? Oh, sure. She's been handling all that stuff while you're deployed. Smart woman, your stepmother. Knows how to navigate all those government systems. My father had no idea his wife was stealing from military assistance programs. He thought she was being helpful. Has she mentioned any problems with my benefits or anything unusual? Nothing unusual. She did say something about emergency funds being available if you needed them. Said the military takes good care of families during deployments. The irony was perfect. Diane was stealing emergency funds while telling my father how well the military supported families. I ended the call and opened my secure email. Time to document everything for CID. But first, I needed one more piece of dis. I called the Emergency Assistance Office directly. Military Family Life Counseling, this is Sergeant Rodriguez. Sergeant, this is First Sergeant Winscott calling from overseas. I need to verify some emergency assistance applications filed on my behalf. Let me pull your file. Yes, sir. Your stepmother has been very proactive about your family's needs. She's called several times to ensure you have access to emergency funds if needed. What kind of emergencies has she reported? Medical expenses for your spouse. Surgery complications, follow-up treatments. She's provided all the necessary documentation each time. Sergeant, I need to report fraudulent activity on my account. I'm not married. There is no spouse. Someone has been filing false claims using my information. The line went quiet. Sir, are you certain? We have extensive documentation. I'm certain. I need this reported to CID immediately. I'll flag your account and start the investigation process. Sir, this is a serious federal crime. I understand. I have ready to submit." After hanging up, I sat in the quiet of my quarters and stared at the folder on my phone. $18,000 stolen from military assistance programs. My stepmother had used her insurance industry knowledge and my trust to commit federal fraud. The woman who'd helped raise me after my mother died had been stealing from programs designed to help military families in crisis. My phone buzzed with another text from the fake spouse number. "Missing you so much, can't wait until you come home." The next morning, I called CID from the Secure Communications Center. Investigator Johnson answered on the second ring. "Criminal Investigation Division, Johnson speaking." "Investigator Johnson, this is First Sergeant Grady Winscott. I need to report federal fraud involving military emergency assistance programs." "What's the nature of the fraud, First Sergeant?" "My stepmother has been posing as my spouse to access emergency funds. She's stolen approximately $18,000 over 6 months using forged documents." "That's a serious allegation. Do you have?" "Bank statements, fake marriage certificate, fraudulent medical bills, text messages from a number she's using to impersonate my supposed wife. Everything's documented." "I'll need you to submit everything through secure channels. We'll also need to coordinate with the Defense Logistics Agency, since this involves assistance program fraud." "Understood. How do you want to proceed?" "First, we'll verify the fraudulent claims with the Assistance Office. Then we'll need to set up a controlled contact with your stepmother. Are you willing to participate in a recorded conversation?" "Absolutely." "Good. Don't contact her directly until we have surveillance in place. This needs to be handled carefully to ensure prosecution." I spent the next 2 hours uploading every piece to CID's secure server. Bank alerts, screenshots, forged documents, the fake marriage certificate, medical bills for procedures that never happened. 3 days later, Johnson called back. "We've confirmed the fraud. Your stepmother filed emergency assistance claims using a fabricated marriage certificate and medical documentation. She's also been receiving spouse benefits through the system. What's the next step?" "We're coordinating with local law enforcement in your hometown. We need you to make contact and arrange a meeting when you return from Ikestampa. We'll have recording equipment ready." "When do I rotate back?" "According to your schedule, you have 2 weeks left. We'll time this for your return." The waiting was the hardest part. Every day, more fake text messages arrived from the supposed spouse number. Diane was maintaining the charade, even as CID built their case. "Counting down the days until you're home. The medical bills are getting expensive, but the assistance program is helping. Your stepmother has been such a support during this difficult time." Each message was of ongoing fraud. I forwarded everything to Johnson. 2 weeks later, I landed at Syracuse Hancock International Airport. Johnson met me at baggage claim. "First Sergeant Winscott?" "That's me." "Investigator Johnson, CID. Ready to finish this?" "More than ready." We drove to a hotel conference room where Johnson's team had set up recording equipment. The plan was simple. I would call Diane and arrange to meet at her house. They would record everything. Remember, we need her to admit to the fraud on tape. Don't lead her into it. Let her explain the situation naturally. I dialed Diane's number. She answered immediately. "Grady, you're back. How was the—" "It was fine. Listen, I need to talk to you about something important. Can I come over?" "Of course. Is everything okay? You sound serious." "Just some paperwork issues I need to sort out. I'll be there in an hour. I'll make coffee. It'll be good to see you." The drive to Diane's house felt surreal. This was the woman who'd attended my high school graduation, helped me prepare for basic training, sent care packages during my first. Johnson's team positioned themselves in an unmarked van across the street. I wore a wire under my uniform shirt. Diane opened the door with a smile. "Look at you. Still in uniform. Come in, come in." Her living room looked the same as always. Family photos on the mantel, including several of me in military dress blues. "Coffee's ready. Sit down and tell me about this paperwork issue." I sat across from her at the kitchen table. "Diane, I need to ask you about something. The military contacted me about emergency assistance applications filed on my behalf." Her expression. didn't change. Oh, those. Yes, I helped with that paperwork. Your wife was having such a difficult time with the medical bills. My wife? Sarah. The poor thing was overwhelmed with the surgery costs and recovery. I told her I'd help navigate the military assistance programs. Diane. I'm not married. There is no Sarah. She blinked twice. What do you mean? I mean, I've never been married. Someone has been filing fraudulent claims using my information. That's impossible. I have all the documentation, the marriage certificate, the medical bills, everything. Where did you get a marriage certificate for a marriage that never happened? The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Diane's hands trembled slightly as she reached for her coffee cup. I don't understand what you're saying. I think you do. The bank statements show $18,000 in fraudulent claims. The marriage certificate is forged. The medical bills are fake. Someone with knowledge of insurance documentation created an elaborate fraud scheme. Grady, you're scaring me. Why would you think I had anything to do with this? Because you're the only person who had access to my personal information and the expertise to create convincing insurance documents. She stood up abruptly. I think you should leave. Diane, the CID investigators are already involved. They have all the idea. The fake marriage certificate has your digital signature. The medical bills were submitted from your computer. The bank account used to receive the funds is linked to your address. She sat back down heavily. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. What pressure? The medical bills. Your father's treatment. The insurance company denied half the claims. We were drowning in debt. So you decided to steal from military assistance programs. I didn't think of it as stealing. I thought of it as borrowing. I was going to pay it back when your father's insurance situation got sorted out. By creating a fake wife and fake medical emergencies? The system made it easy. I know how insurance documentation works. I just needed temporary help. For 6 months? $18,000? It got out of hand. Every month, there were more bills. The fake medical treatments had to continue or they'd investigate. I kept thinking I'd find a way to pay it back, using my name and my military service. I never meant to hurt you. I was trying to save your father. By committing federal fraud. She put her head in her hands. I know how it looks. But I was desperate. Your father's cancer treatment costs were destroying us financially. There were legal ways to get help. Military families have resources, not for stepfamilies. Not for his pre-existing conditions. The insurance companies found every excuse to deny coverage. I stood up. Diane, you need to know that CID has been recording this conversation. You've just confessed to federal fraud. Her face went white. Recording? Everything you've said is. The investigators are outside. Grady, please. I can pay it back. I can make this right. It's too late for that. Johnson and 2 other investigators entered through the front door. Diane Winscott, you're under arrest for federal fraud, identity theft, and theft of government funds. As they read her rights, Diane looked at me with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. The trial took 4 months. Diane pled guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. She was ordered to pay full restitution and sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. During the sentencing hearing, she addressed the court. I betrayed the trust of someone who served our country. I stole from programs designed to help military families in crisis. There's no excuse for what I did. The judge was not sympathetic. You exploited your stepson's military service and your professional knowledge to commit systematic fraud. This court takes crimes against military assistance programs very seriously. After the sentencing, Johnson approached me outside the courthouse. First Sergeant, your case helped us identify vulnerabilities in the assistance program verification process. We're implementing new safeguards to prevent similar fraud. Good. Other families shouldn't have to go through this. Your thoroughness in documenting everything made this prosecution possible. You should be proud of how you handled this. I wasn't sure pride was the right word, but justice had been served. The restitution payments began immediately. Diane's house was sold to cover the debt. My father moved to a smaller apartment and started receiving proper veterans benefits that we'd helped him apply for during the investigation. 6 months later, I received a letter from another soldier whose stepfather had been caught in a similar scheme. He'd used my case as a template for his own investigation. The betrayal had become something useful, a warning system for other military families. 12 months later, I stood in my office at Fort Drum reviewing quarterly reports. The to Afghanistan was behind me. The investigation was closed. Diane was serving her sentence at a federal facility in Pennsylvania. My father called every Sunday now. His veterans' benefits covered his medical expenses and housing. He'd found a part-time job at a hardware store and seemed genuinely happy for the first time in years. "Grady, I got a letter from the VA today," he said during our last conversation. "They're expanding mental health services for veterans. Thought you'd want to know." "That's good news, Dad. I'm proud of you, son, for everything you did, for how you handled it all." The words meant more than he knew. Marcus had been promoted to staff sergeant and transferred to Fort Bragg. We still texted regularly. He'd helped 2 other soldiers identify suspicious financial activity in their accounts over the past year. The Defense Logistics Agency had implemented new verification protocols for emergency assistance programs. Multiple identity confirmations were now required. Cross-referencing with records was mandatory. Johnson sent me updates occasionally. The new safeguards had prevented at least 6 attempted fraud cases in the past 8 months. I coordinate with the base legal office on benefit entitlement reviews. The work helps other military families navigate the system properly. It feels like putting the experience to good use. Last week, I received a thank you card from a sergeant whose mother-in-law had tried to access his emergency funds while he was deployed to Iraq. The new protocols caught the attempt immediately. The card read, "Your case saved my family from going through what you did. Thank you for fighting back." I kept the card on my desk next to a photo of my unit in Afghanistan. Both reminders of why the work mattered. The financial damage had been fully repaired. My credit score was higher than before the fraud began. The emergency assistance programs continued helping legitimate military families in crisis. Sometimes I wondered if Diane thought about the families she'd stolen from while sitting in her cell, if she understood the real cost of what she'd done. But those thoughts came less frequently now. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. "Dinner Sunday? I'm making your grandmother's pot roast recipe." I smiled and typed back, "I'll be there." The betrayal had taught me something unexpected. Trust wasn't about blind faith. It was about verification, documentation, and holding people accountable for their actions. The lesson had made me a better soldier and a more careful son. Outside my office window, soldiers were conducting morning PT. Their voices carried across the base as they called out cadences. The sound was familiar and comforting. I closed the quarterly reports and locked them in my desk drawer. The workday was ending. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new responsibilities. But tonight I would drive to my father's apartment and share a meal with the only family member who had never betrayed my trust. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.